Ambassador Dr. Mina Yoon walked through the long hallway of the Galactic Confederation building. Her boots made soft sounds on the smooth floor. She carried a small device in her hands that held the most important information humanity had ever discovered. Today, she would try to save the galaxy. The great meeting room was huge. It had a high ceiling that seemed to touch the stars. Representatives from dozens of alien species sat in their special chairs. Some had tentacles, others had wings, and many looked nothing like humans at all. They all turned to look at Mina as she entered the room. "Welcome, human ambassador," said Counselor Vex from the Alterian Empire. His voice sounded like water flowing over rocks. "We hope your message today is more useful than your last visit." Mina tried not to show her anger. During her last visit, she had asked for better trade deals for Earth. The aliens had laughed at her then too. But today was different. Today, the future of every living thing in the galaxy was at stake. She walked to the center of the room and activated her device. A large hologram appeared above her head. It showed swirling colors and strange patterns that looked like a storm, made of light. The alien representatives leaned forward to get a better look. "Honored members of the Confederation," Mina began, her voice clear and strong. "Our scientists have detected something terrible coming toward our galaxy. We call them the Devourers. They are machines that eat entire worlds." Several aliens made sounds that Mina thought might be laughter. The Zeltharian representative, who looked like a giant bird, clicked his beak loudly. "Ambassador Yoon, your species has only been traveling in space for 100 years. How could you see something that we have missed?" Mina touched her device, and the hologram changed. Now it showed Earth and the chaos around their home planet. "Our world is surrounded by electromagnetic storms and quantum disturbances. We learned to see through chaos because we grew up in it. This helped us build special sensors that can detect quantum signatures across vast distances." "Quantum signatures?" The Vorthak delegate's 6 eyes blinked in sequence. "You mean the random noise that fills empty space? We learned to filter that out centuries ago." "That noise is not random," Mina said firmly. "It contains patterns. And those patterns show us that something massive is coming from beyond our galaxy, something that destroys everything in its path." She changed the hologram again. Now it showed a timeline with dates and calculations. "According to our measurements, these Devourers will reach the outer edge of our galaxy in 18 months. They consume the matter of planets to fuel their journey to the next galaxy." The room filled with the sounds of alien conversation. Some representatives seemed interested, but most appeared doubtful. Counselor Vex raised one of his tentacles for silence. "Even if we believed your unusual detection methods," he said, slowly, "what proof do you have that these theoretical machines pose any real threat? Perhaps they are simply another species seeking a new home." Mina felt her heart sink. She had expected doubt, but not complete dismissal. "The quantum patterns show massive energy consumption. Entire solar systems are being drained of matter. This is not colonization. This is consumption." The Kethran, ambassador, whose people were among the oldest in the galaxy, spoke with a voice like grinding stone. "Young human, our civilization has existed for 10,000 years. We have sensors that can peer into the depths of space and time itself. If such a threat existed, we would have detected it long ago. But you filter out the quantum noise," Mina replied desperately. "You cannot see what you have chosen to ignore. The chaos that surrounds Earth taught us to listen to the universe differently." "Or perhaps," the Zeltharian representative said, with another clicking sound, "your chaotic environment has taught you to see threats where none exist. Fear is a powerful force, Ambassador Yoon." Mina looked around the room at the alien faces. Some showed curiosity, others showed pity, but most showed the same arrogant dismissal she had seen before. These were ancient species who believed that their age gave them wisdom. They could not imagine that humans, barely out of their home solar system, might know something they did not. "I am begging you to take this warning seriously," she said, her voice becoming urgent. "If I am wrong, you lose nothing by preparing. If I am right and you do nothing, we all die." Counselor Vex's tentacles waved in what Mina had learned was their gesture of finality. The Confederation appreciates Earth's concern for galactic security. However, we cannot make major military decisions based on unverified data from unproven technology. We suggest that humanity focus on its own development rather than imagining galaxy-wide threats. As the meeting ended and the alien representatives began to leave, Mina stood alone in the center of the great room. The hologram still showed the approaching darkness, but no one was looking anymore. She turned off the device and the warning disappeared. Walking back through the long hallway, Mina knew that humanity would face the coming storm alone. The galaxy had made its choice. They would ignore the warning until it was too late. Behind her, the empty meeting room grew dark and silent. Admiral Hana Kim stood on the observation deck of the orbital shipyard above Earth. Through the thick glass, she could see dozens of ships being built at the same time. Sparks flew from welding torches as workers in spacesuits moved like busy ants across the metal frames. The sound of construction filled the air even through the station's walls. "Admiral, the morning report," said Lieutenant Commander Tae-Wan as he approached with a tablet in his hands. His face looked tired but determined. "Shipyard 7 has completed 3 more destroyers. Shipyard 12 finished the new cruiser yesterday. We are ahead of schedule." Hana nodded but did not smile. Being ahead of schedule was good, but it might not be enough. The Devourers would arrive in less than 15 months now, and humanity needed every ship they could build. "What about the quantum disruptor weapons?" "Dr. Bin Seo says the new ones are 30% more powerful than the first models," Tae-Wan replied. "But each weapon requires rare materials that are difficult to find. We might have to make some hard choices about which ships get the best weapons." Through the window, Hana watched another ship taking shape. It looked different from the sleek vessels that other species built. Human ships were bulky and covered with extra armor. They were built to survive, not to impress. While alien ships looked like works of art, human ships looked like tools made for war. "Any word from the colonies?" Hana asked. "The evacuation of Kepler Station is almost complete," Tae-Wan said, reading from his tablet. "Captain J. Park reports that the families from the mining colonies are being moved to the inner defense systems. Some people are not happy about leaving their homes." Hana understood their anger. Nobody wanted to abandon the places they had worked so hard to build. But the outer colonies were impossible to defend against an enemy that could consume entire planets. It was better to save the people and let the buildings go. Dr. Bin Seo entered the observation deck carrying a cup of coffee that had gone cold hours ago. His hair was messy, and his clothes were wrinkled from sleeping in his laboratory. "Admiral, we have made an important discovery about the Quantum Consciousness Project." "Tell me," Hana said, turning away from the window. "We have been studying how human brains create quantum patterns," Dr. Seo explained, his eyes bright with excitement despite his tiredness. "Every human mind generates a unique quantum signature. It is like a fingerprint, but made of energy instead of lines on skin." "How does this help us fight the Devourers?" Tae-Wan asked. "The machine intelligence that controls the Devourers works by creating perfect order," Dr. Seo continued. "But human thoughts are naturally chaotic. We think in ways that follow no pattern. If we could somehow use this chaos as a weapon..." Hana felt a spark of hope. "You think human minds could disrupt their control systems?" "Maybe," Dr. Seo said carefully. "But I need more time to study it, and we would need a way to broadcast human thought patterns across space. It would be very dangerous to try." Outside, the window, an alien trade ship passed by the construction area. Its crew probably had no idea what the humans were building. The Galactic Confederation continued to treat Earth like a minor member species that was trying too hard to look important. They saw the military buildup but thought it was just humans trying to expand their territory. "Let them think we are just ambitious," Hana had told her officers many times. "When they finally realize the truth, we need to be ready to protect them whether they want our help or not." Communications Officer Yi Na hurried onto the observation deck with an urgent expression. "Admiral, we are receiving reports from our deep space monitoring stations. The quantum disturbances are getting stronger." Dr. Mina Yoon wants to speak with you immediately. Hana followed Yina to the communication center. On the main screen, Ambassador Mina Yoon appeared from her office on the diplomatic station. Her face looked worried and tired. Hana, the Confederation is planning to reduce their military spending, Mina said without greeting. They think the galaxy is entering a time of peace. Several species are converting their warships into cargo vessels. They are making themselves defenseless, Hana replied, feeling sick to her stomach. It gets worse, Mina continued. The Alterian Council is organizing a festival to celebrate galactic harmony. They want to invite the leaders of every species to gather in one place, including all their best military commanders. Hana closed her eyes for a moment. When the Devourers arrived, they would find the galaxy's leadership gathered together like a gift. When is this festival? In 14 months, Mina said quietly. Just before your calculations say the Devourers will reach our galaxy. After the communication ended, Hana stood in silence for a long time. Around her, the work of building humanity's defense continued. Workers who did not know the full truth about what was coming still gave their best effort. They trusted their leaders to keep them safe. Double the construction schedule, Hana finally said to Taewon, and send a message to all colony commanders. Tell them to prepare for the worst. Through the walls of the station, the sound of hammering and welding continued without stopping. Humanity was running out of time. The first distress signal came at 3 a.m, Earth time. Communications officer Yi Na was drinking her 4th cup of coffee when the emergency alert filled her screen with flashing red lights. The message was breaking up, filled with static and terror. This is Zeltharian Command. Unknown vessels approaching. They are huge, bigger than our cities. Yina's hands shook as she tried to clean up the signal. The Zeltharian Empire was one of the oldest civilizations in the galaxy. Their technology was thousands of years ahead of Earth's in most areas. If they were calling for help, something was very wrong. Admiral Hana Kim arrived in the command center still wearing her sleeping clothes. Her hair was messy, but her eyes were sharp and alert. What do we have? The signal is coming from the Zeltharian home system, Yina reported. It's almost at the edge of our galaxy, exactly where our calculations said the Devourers would arrive first. Dr. Bin Seo ran into the room carrying his portable computer. He had been working in his laboratory when the alert sounded. Admiral, the quantum disturbance readings are off the charts. Something massive just entered our galaxy. On the main screen, a new transmission appeared. The image was shaky and filled with interference, but they could see a Zeltharian officer, with bright blue feathers and golden eyes. Behind him, other aliens were running and screaming. Any ship that receives this message, stay away from Zeltharian space, the officer said, his voice breaking with fear. The enemy ships phase through, our shields like they are not there. Our weapons pass right through them. They are stripping our planets down to the core, taking everything, the metal, the rock, even the air. The transmission cut to static. Yinad tried to reconnect but found only empty space where the Zeltharian system used to be. Get me Captain J. Park, Hana ordered. I want our reconnaissance ships to investigate, but they are to stay far away and report only. 3 hours later, Captain J. Park's voice came through the speakers from his ship near the edge of Zeltharian space. His normally calm voice was tight with shock. Admiral, you need to see this. I am sending visual data now. The main screen filled with an image that made everyone in the command center go quiet. Where the Zeltharian home system used to be, there was nothing but empty space and floating debris. 4 planets, 2 space stations, and millions of people had simply disappeared. The enemy ships are moving toward the next system, J. Park reported. I count at least 50 vessels. They look like dark metal pyramids, each one the size of a small moon. They are not using any propulsion system we can detect, but they are moving faster than our best ships. Over the next 6 hours, more distress calls flooded Earth's communication systems. The proud Alterian Empire, which had laughed at humanity's warnings, sent desperate messages begging for help. Their tentacled counselor Vex appeared on screen with his skin turned pale gray from fear. Earth Command, we were wrong, he said, his voice shaking. The machines you warned us about, they are real. Our combined fleet engaged them near Alterian Prime. 60 warships opened fire at the same time. The energy beams passed through the enemy vessels like they were made of air. "What happened to your ships?" Admiral Hana asked. "Gone," Vex whispered. "All of them. The machines fired some kind of beam that turned our ships into dust. Then they landed on our planet and began harvesting. They are taking everything. The oceans, the mountains, the cities, all of it disappears into their hulls." Dr. Mina Yoon, who was still at the diplomatic station, appeared on a second screen. Her face was pale, but her voice was steady. "Hana, I am receiving requests for asylum from over 30 different species. They all want to evacuate their populations to Earth." "Earth cannot hold the entire galaxy," Hana replied sadly. "But we will take as many as we can." The Kethran ambassador, whose people claimed to be the oldest in the galaxy, sent a formal apology. His voice sounded like grinding stones, but now it also carried shame. "Humans of Earth, we have lived for 10,000 years and thought ourselves wise. We ignored your warnings because we believed our age made us superior. We were fools. By the end of the first day, 12 star systems had gone dark. The Devourers moved through space like a spreading disease, consuming everything in their path. Each planet they destroyed made them stronger and faster. Communications Officer Yi Na plotted their movement on the tactical display. "Admiral, at their current speed, they will reach the core systems in 8 days. The festival that Ambassador Yoon mentioned, all the galactic leaders will still be gathered together when the Devourers arrive. Send a message to every ship in the galaxy," Hana ordered. "Tell them to evacuate the festival immediately and signal our fleet commanders. It is time to implement the Sol defense plan." Dr. Bin Seo looked up from his calculations. "Admiral, we only have 43 ships ready for combat. Intelligence reports suggest the Devourers have over 200 vessels." "Then we will have to be smarter than they are," Hana said, watching the red markers on the display move closer to Earth. "Humanity has always been good at winning fights we should not be able to win." Outside the command center windows, Earth's defense fleet began to move into position. The human fleet spread across 3 star systems like a steel net waiting to catch death itself. Admiral Hana Kim stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Indomitable, watching the tactical display show 43 human ships against more than 200 Devourer vessels. The odds were terrible, but humanity had faced terrible odds before. "Admiral, enemy contact in 30 minutes, reported Lieutenant Commander Tae-Wan from his position at the sensor station. His voice was steady, but his hands moved quickly across the controls. "The Devourer ships are moving in a perfect formation, no variation in speed or direction." Captain J. Park's voice came through the communication system from his destroyer Resilience. "All ships report ready for combat. Quantum disruptor weapons are charged and waiting. The crews know what we are fighting for." Through the bridge windows, Hana could see the other human ships taking their positions. Each vessel carried the hopes of not just humanity, but every surviving species in the galaxy. Refugee ships from dozens of worlds waited behind the human battle line, their people, watching to see if Earth's forces could do the impossible. Dr. Bin Seo worked frantically at his science station, surrounded by cables and blinking lights. His quantum consciousness device was almost ready, but he needed more time to make sure it would work properly. "Admiral, the neural pattern mapping is at 80% completion, but if I make a mistake, the quantum pulse could damage human minds across the entire galaxy. How much more time do you need?" Hana asked, knowing they might not have any time left. "At least 2 hours, Dr. Seo replied, wiping sweat from his forehead. "The consciousness patterns are more complex than I expected. Human thoughts are chaotic, but they follow hidden rules that I am still trying to understand." The Devourer fleet appeared on the long-range sensors like a dark cloud moving toward the sun. Each enemy ship was enormous, shaped like a pyramid made of black metal that seemed to absorb light instead of reflecting it. They moved without any visible engines, sliding through space as if the laws of physics did not apply to them. "All ships, prepare for engagement," Hana commanded. "Remember, our quantum disruptors are the only weapons that can hurt them. Make every shot count." The first wave of Devourer ships entered weapons range. The human fleet opened fire together, and space, filled with brilliant beams of disrupted quantum energy. The exotic weapons struck the enemy vessels, and for the first time in the war, Devourer ships exploded instead of ignoring the attacks. Direct hits on 6 enemy vessels, Captain J. Park reported, his voice filled with excitement. The quantum disruptors are working. We can actually hurt them. But the victory was short-lived. The Devourers adapted quickly, and their return fire was devastating. Commander Tae-Wan watched in horror as 3 human ships simply vanished under the enemy's beam weapons. The cruiser Defiance is gone, Admiral. The destroyers Courage and Honor are not responding. More human ships died as the battle continued. The quantum disruptor weapons were powerful, but they consumed enormous amounts of energy. After firing for 10 minutes, several ships reported that their power cores were overloading from the strain. Admiral, we are losing ships faster than we can destroy the enemy. Captain J. Park's voice crackled through the static. My weapons are at 50% power and dropping. We cannot keep this up much longer. Dr. Bin Seo suddenly looked up from his work, his eyes wide with discovery. Admiral, I am detecting something strange. The Devourer ships are sending quantum signals to each other. They share a single mind like a hive of insects, but our weapons are disrupting their communication. What does that mean? Hana asked while watching another human ship sacrifice itself to protect a damaged cruiser. It means they are becoming confused, Dr. Seo explained quickly. The quantum disruption is not just damaging their hulls, it is interfering with their ability to think together. They are afraid. Communications Officer Yi Na confirmed the discovery. Admiral, I am picking up massive quantum resonance from the enemy fleet. The patterns look like panic. They have never encountered anything that could disrupt their collective consciousness. Hana felt a spark of hope, but it was mixed with despair. Even if the Devourers were afraid humanity was running out of ships, the battle was turning into a slow defeat unless something changed soon. All ships, implement Protocol 7, Hana ordered, her voice heavy with the weight of command. We need to buy Dr. Seo the time he needs to complete his work. Protocol 7 was humanity's most desperate tactic. Every remaining ship would charge directly at the enemy fleet, using their hulls as weapons if necessary. It meant certain death for most of the crews, but it might create enough chaos to give Dr. Seo the 2 hours he needed. Captain J. Park was the first to respond. Understood, Admiral. It has been an honor serving with you. One by one, the human ships accelerated toward Dio, the Devourer fleet. The Resilience led the charge, followed by the surviving destroyers and cruisers. Each ship fired its quantum disruptors continuously, even as their power cores began to fail. Neural mapping at 95%, Dr. Seo reported, his fingers flying over the controls. Almost there, just a little more time. Through the bridge windows, Hana watched her fleet die to save the galaxy. Each explosion was a star of light against the darkness, beautiful and terrible at the same time. Dr. Bin Seo's hands trembled as he made the final adjustments to the quantum consciousness device. Around him, the bridge of the Indomitable shook from enemy fire. Sparks flew from damaged control panels and the lights flickered on and off. Through the cracked windows, he could see the last few human ships fighting desperately against the massive Devourer fleet. Neural pattern mapping complete, he announced to Admiral Hana Kim, who stood beside him covered in dust and blood from a fallen beam. The consciousness bomb is ready, but Admiral, once I activate this, there is no going back. The quantum pulse will use human minds as a weapon. Hana looked at the tactical display. Only 12 human ships were still fighting. The Resilience was badly damaged, and Captain J. Park's last message had been filled with static. Hundreds of refugee ships waited behind them, carrying the survivors of dozens of alien civilizations. If the defense failed, everyone would die. Will it work? Hana asked, watching another human destroyer explode in a burst of light. The theory is solid, Dr. Seo replied, checking his calculations one more time. Human consciousness creates quantum chaos that the Devourer hive mind cannot process. But the pulse will be so powerful that it might damage human brains across the galaxy. Some people might not survive it. Communications Officer Yi Na looked up from her station with tears in her eyes. Admiral, Captain Park's ship is gone. The Resilience just disappeared. We are down to 11 ships. Hana closed her eyes for a moment, thinking of all the brave people who had died to reach this moment. When she opened them again, her voice was steady and strong. Dr. Seo, activate the device. If we are going to save the galaxy, we need to do it now. Dr. Seo nodded and placed his hand on the activation switch. Consciousness pulse initiating in 10 seconds. All human minds will be connected for a brief moment. Everyone will feel this. The countdown began. Around the galaxy, humans on Earth, in the refugee ships and on distant colonies suddenly felt a strange tingling in their minds. Children stopped playing and looked up at the sky. Adults paused in their work and felt something calling to them. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Activation. The pulse erupted from the indomitable like a wave of invisible fire. It traveled faster than light itself, carrying the unique quantum signature of human consciousness across the entire galaxy. The pulse contained everything that made humans special: their creativity, their stubborn refusal to give up, their ability to find hope in the darkest moments, and most importantly, their beautiful, chaotic way of thinking. When the pulse reached the Devourer fleet, the effect was immediate and devastating. The machines that had consumed countless galaxies suddenly found themselves unable to process the information flooding their collective mind. Human thoughts were too random, too creative, too alive for their ordered intelligence to understand. Captain J. Park, somehow still alive in the wreckage of his ship, watched in amazement as the enemy vessels simply stopped moving. Admiral, the Devourers they are just floating. No energy readings, no movement. It is like they are asleep. Dr. Seo monitored the quantum readings with growing excitement. The hive mind is collapsing. They cannot maintain their collective consciousness when exposed to human neural patterns. The chaos is too much for them to handle. Across the galaxy, the effect was the same. Every Devourer ship, from the smallest scout to the largest world eater, went dark and silent. The ancient machine intelligence that had destroyed entire galaxies was defeated by something it had never encountered before: the unpredictable creativity of human thought. But victory came with a terrible price. The quantum pulse had drained the life from most of humanity's military. Earth's great fleet was reduced to a handful of damaged ships. The planet itself bore deep scars from the battle, and many human colonies had been abandoned or destroyed. Dr. Mina Yoon, who had felt the pulse from her position at the diplomatic station, now stood in the ruins of what used to be Geneva. The city where she had been born was mostly destroyed, but she was alive, and so were billions of others. Around her, the first refugee ships from alien worlds were landing, carrying the survivors of civilizations that had lasted for thousands of years. The former Alterian counselor Vex approached her slowly, his tentacles drooping with shame. His proud empire was gone, reduced to a few thousand survivors who now depended on human protection. Ambassador Yoon, he said in a voice barely above a whisper, we owe you an apology that can never be repaid. Our arrogance nearly destroyed everything. Mina looked up at the stars where human patrol ships still watched for any sign of the Devourer threat returning. Counselor, the important thing is that we survived. All of us. Other alien representatives came forward, each carrying the weight of their species' survival. The Kethrin Elder, whose people had claimed to be the wisest in the galaxy, knelt before Mina with tears in his ancient eyes. We thought our age made us superior. We forgot that wisdom can come from any source, even from the youngest voice in the room. The Zeltharian survivors, proud bird-like beings who had once ruled star systems, now asked humbly for permission to build new homes under human protection. Their leader's golden eyes were filled with respect as he spoke. We will never again ignore a warning, no matter who gives it. As the sun set over the damaged Earth, Mina thought about the price of the galaxy's arrogance. Entire civilizations had been lost because they refused to listen to humanity's warning. The youngest species in the galaxy had become the guardian. Of all the others, protector of civilizations that had forgotten how to protect themselves. The stars above seemed brighter now, filled with hope instead of fear.